Hello, creative minds. Welcome back to the channel. Let's make this palazzo together. This is the end result of the palazzo. So let's get into it. First of all, we're going to be folding our fabric into two. To take this measurement, we're going to be raising our tape rule up by 1 inch for the band because we're working with a 1.5 inch band. So now we're going to measure our hip line, our crotch line. And the only way to get your crotch line is to sit on a surface and measure from where you prefer your band to be, from where you want your trouser to start from, to the top of the surface. If you know what I mean, I will actually make a video on how to get a perfect crotch. So now we're just going to place our hip divided by 4 on that hip line, and then we are going to replace the hip measurement divided by 4 on the waistline. So now we're just going to connect this downwards to the crotch line. Now on the crotch line, you're going to place your lap measurement, your round lap, which is close to your crotch, your round lap measurement divided by 2. I got 16 for this because I want it to be very free. So I placed it right on it and I added 1 inch allowance for sewing. And now we are just going to use a curve ruler to connect back to the straight line we have going on. So now we have our crotch line and our crotch depth. So the next thing is now to place your waist measurement divided by 4 on that line. Because our side waist is not straight, that's why we need to go this way. And this will give you a perfect trouser at the end of the day. It's either trouser, palazzo, whatever you're doing. If you use this method for your waistline, you will get it perfectly, it will sit perfectly on your waist. So now we're going to divide what we have on the crotch line by 2. Just like this, you're going to place your tape on the edge and then you mark the midpoint. So now we're going to be making use of this midpoint downwards. I'm going to measure my knee line, which is 25, and on the knee line, what I have on the halfway of the crotch line, I'm just going to place it there and on the hemline of this trouser. And after placing it, I'll just connect it like this. So after connecting this line downwards, I want my palazzo to be very free. So I'm using 8 inch for this, 8 inches for this. And I'm going to take that 8 inches on the both side of the knee line till the hemline. Taking in 8 inch on the both side, and I'm just going to roll it up just like this. You slightly roll it to the hip line just like this, just for you to get the fitting and the perfect shape. So this is what we have, and now we're just going to cut this out. We have our front pattern already. Okay, so now let's move to the back. We're folding our fabric also in two, and now we're going to place the front on the back, making sure that there is much allowance on the top of this waistline. From the front waistline, on this crotch side, we're going up by 1.5. I'm doing 1.5 because I already have enough allowance on my crotch. So now I'm just going to slant this tape rule to the back, to the front panel on this back pattern. And then I'll measure whatever I have on the front, back, and I'll replace it on the back, just like this, and I'll roll it out. So I added 1 inch on the side for the back dart. We don't need a dart for the front pattern. We only need the dart for the back. And I'm extending it downwards by 5 inch. And I'm just going to use a curve ruler because we have the sides already curved. Actually, I was supposed to add that on the crotch line, but you can add it anywhere because at the end of the day, we only needed that. So now for the side extension, we are just going to go up by 2 inch from this crotch line, and you see how slightly I connect that, just like this. I'm so sorry for the blurry picture frame you are getting from this video. I didn't know the light was too much. So now on the side downwards, I'm just going to take 2 inch downwards. This will serve as a joining allowance for the middle, I mean the crotch side, joining allowance, and to make it free, very free when you put it on. Oh, after adding this, you're just going to cut that out. You can see I didn't add any allowance on the waistline. It was supposed to be the dart line, but I already added it on the other side. So now you're just going to cut this out, and we have our front and back. Now for the pocket, this is how to cut a perfect pocket. So I folded the fabric into, and I went ahead just like this to fold it again. So we have 4 like this. Meanwhile, from the folded place, okay, for the length of this pocket, I'm making use of 12, which is the standard pocket length. And then for the wideness, make sure you place your hand on this. Once your hand can fit in, you are good with the wideness. So I use 8 inches for this, and I'm just going to replace that on the top and connect it just like this. If you're making it for your client, once you put your hand and it fits in, it's good to go. So now we're just going to cut it out from this side, and this is our pocket. So I'm just going to split this on the down part so that we can have 2 pockets, just like this. So the next thing is to bring in your front pattern, your front panel of this palazzo, and then place your, we're just going to turn the pocket on the opening side. Yeah, just like this. Mind you, I marked the front and the back side of, I marked the only back side of this pocket so that we don't get it mixed up while sewing. So now we're just going to place it by the sides of the front panel, just to give us the same shape we have going on the palazzo pants on the side of the trouser. We're just going to trim that out. So now we are, for our opening, I'm using 2.5 inch for this opening. You can use 2 inches, it depend on your preference. You can use 1.5 as well. Then you slide your tape rule downwards by 7 inch or 7.5, depend on how widely open you want it to be. I use 7.5. And then you notch it. This is what you have. So now this is the front part, and this one I'm placing the pocket on is a front, is the front. So now for this pocket, where you notch the remaining part, we're just going to open up our pocket to the to the front side, to the good side of the fabric, and then sew it down by half of an inch round. You can curve it or remain the same shape of cut it out, just like this. So after sewing it down on the good side, you're just going to turn it and then top stitch whatever you sew down there to give you a perfect finishing. So now just watch what I did here. You raise up the front, you raise it up and place it on your trouser and stitch it down and top stitch as well. And then this is what you'll be having. This is what I got after sewing it down. If you do it the way I did it here, I don't know the best way to explain it, but if you do it the same way you saw me doing it, you are going to have a perfect bucket, and at the end of the day you won't be sewing the wrong part to the right part. So now I sewed the two pockets and this is what we have. So now we're just going to place it on each other and make sure it's perfectly aligned, and then we are going to sew down our crotch by half of an inch. But whenever you are sewing a crotch on the waistline, make sure you're sewing with 1 inch, while on the crotch line you're going down by half of an inch. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Just for it to give you a perfect fitting. Then for the back also, you can see what I did here. I measured 1 inch and I'm going to sew from that 1 inch, and on the crotch line it will be half inch. So now I measure where my darts was, where I sew my darts, and then I notched it and came down by 5 of an inch, which I added the allowance. And I'm just going to sew that, take a dart, and then make sure you iron at every process. Open your stitch and iron it down. You can see what I did there. So now I did the same thing for the front. I stitched and then I ironed. So now we are just going to open this back front side and then place the front side of the front facing each other. Make sure it's well aligned, and then we are going to take a measurement of where our zipper will stay. I like fixing my zipper on the right side, so I figured that, and then on the right side I raised my tape rule up by 1 inch for the waistband, and then I came down by 8 inch, which is the zipper allowance I'm using. So I'm going to stitch from that zipper allowance downwards, and on the other side I'm going to stitch fully, and on the crotch I'm going to stitch also by half of an inch round. And after stitching, this is what we have. You can see how neat this. I'm so sorry, I was supposed to weave weave every part of this before sewing, but at this point I was rushing because I had an event to attend to, and as usual we have to make our dress a day to day event. So now for this band, this is what I have going. I've already cut out the 4 inches and then the round length of my waist, including the allowance there. I mean the allowance on the zipper line. So I added an interface to it, a paper stay. And then this is how to attach it. You first of all attach it from inside, just like this. Attach it, sew it down by half of an inch. Then I ironed this just to give me a guideline to get a perfect waistband. Then you sew it out like this, and then you add your zipper to it. I use an invisible zipper, which is wrong. We're supposed to use a multi-car zipper. This is all we have. Thank you for watching.